Hello YouTube, this is Vordis here, and I'm here, and I plan on showing you guys an actual full match of Magic the Gathering this time. This time we're playing with a deck that I actually took some time and decided that this was what was worth the money if you're going to play budget, which is where I'm going to be starting out until I can go infinite, which is the term used that I'm using the winnings from my matches to fund my way into playing more and more games and getting cards, so you don't actually spend a single dime on Magic the Gathering Online. But this is the deck called Rallies. I found this via MTG Goldfish, which is a website and a channel on YouTube. Shout out to those guys for having such a great deck. This deck was actually designed by one of their users named Saffron Olive. He's a guy that I've been watching a lot of his videos on YouTube. And honestly, I am very, very impressed with this deck list. It has a couple of changes to it, mostly because there's a couple cards in that deck list that I couldn't really afford at the time. And I think this gives it a nice little, I don't know, just enough change to make it kind of a little bit unique. So, pretty much this entire deck list is a Rally deck running Rally of the Ancestors. Let me go ahead and put on that window pane for you guys. There we go. So it's running Rally of the Ancestors. Now, if you guys pay attention to Standard at all, which is going to be mostly what you'll find on my channel, you're going to see a lot of this card. Rally is actually one of the big combo decks in play, and this card synergizes well with cards like Calistria Healer and Zulaport Cutthroat, because you can just Rally, bring all these guys back in, and then use a sacrifice outlet like Nantuku Husk or Butcher of the Horde to trigger Zulaport Cutthroat and drain just incredible amounts of life. Chasm Guide's also in the deck, so that way when you do rally, if you wanted to, on your turn, you can rally, swing with the entire team, and then, damage, and then, of course, use a Sacrifice Outlet to trigger all those Zulaport Cutthroats. Obviously, staple of Grim Harvestpex in the deck, so you can get a little bit of a draw card engine, and then Murderous Cuts, so you can use up these Evolving Wilds to trick your way into it. And pretty much this is a very, very just basic deck list. In their deck list, though, in Saffron Olive's deck list, my bad, he was running a card, Drana Liberator Malachur, and for the 3 copies I believe the deck called for, it was like $12, and I couldn't really afford that, so I went through my collection and I decided that I wanted a sweeper, and Crux of Fate does just that. It works well against decks like Abzan, Aggro. I was actually playing Hardened Scales earlier against Hardened Scales earlier, and there was a couple of downsides to Hardened Scales, especially if you bomb a Hangerback Walker with Crux of Fate, and then they just get a bunch of 3/3s that smack you for way, way, way more than they should, especially if they have Nissa in play with Hardened Scales. So, that 7/7 Hangerback Walker that was only going to hurt you a little bit, you turn it all of a sudden into 7 3/3s after the Nissa trigger and Hardened Scales triggers, and it just gets nuts. But anyway, besides the point, in our sideboard we are rocking the same basic sideboard they were running. 2 copies of Tragic Arrogance, just for a little bit of more a control-y side. You're really far behind. 1 copy of Lantern Scout, just as an optional way. If you're taking way too much damage early on in the game, you can just rally back, swing with the entire team, and you're going to get back incredible amounts of life. 3 copies of Duress. I thought that this was appropriate because I didn't really like the idea of running 4. It would kind of just dilute the aggro side of the main deck. We have 4 copies of Self-Inflicted Wound, just in case we are playing against Abzan. Ruinous Path to deal with Gideons and Nissas, which is most of what I've been running into. 1 copy of Deathwind, just to deal with mostly cards like Siege Rhino and Hangerback Walker. It's just a kind of a nifty little spell that I've had sitting around on my commons forever. And honestly, I can't wait to get rid of it. I mean, it's good, but there's better spells out there. Personally, I wouldn't mind swapping this out for another copy of Ruinous Path. I just don't have the second copy of Ruinous Path, so that's that trick. And then 3 copies of Crackling Doom. Really good equalizer. It's good for pushing in early damage if they get a good start on you, especially with decks like Hardened Scales, Mardu Green, Atarka Red. I've actually been in a situation where playing against Jeskai Black, where Crackling Doom actually took care of a Jace, and that was probably the best possible thing I have ever seen. I mean, it's not going to happen very often, but when it does happen, you'll just laugh because Crackling Doom typically doesn't take care of Jace, but in some instances, it will. Anyway, so this is the deck list, guys. We're going to go ahead and hop into a match, and I will see you then.